Okay. And are you ready, Toastmaster Alvin, for giving us the special training tonight? Yeah, we are looking forward to hearing from you now. Okay. Hybrid and virtual meeting. What if, Toastmaster Alvin?
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Anand. And tonight, we're going to have an experience creating something for our student that hopefully will result to engagement. So earlier, as I was saying, this is all about technology to create engagement among our students. And I shared earlier a funny story about how my students, how I learned from them in terms of getting the technology that's appropriate for my classes. And before we start, so you can see on screen, two pictures, right? So who is guilty as charged? I'm guilty of this. So if it's audio meeting only, I don't really fix myself. But if there's video involved, I fix myself. So who is guilty as charged for this one? Okay, so for most of us, since COVID happened, we have migrated to online meetings. So at the very early stage of COVID, what did we do? As teachers, we continue what we were doing and placed the computer in front of us. And many experts would argue that it wasn't really effective, but at least we did something. And later, all along, we learned new theories and practices on how to become more effective in delivering our lesson online. So I'm going to provide 3 information that you can take away with you after this training. So here is our goal. So our goal for tonight is that you can create a better online presentation which is both engaging for you and your audience. So we all know that for many of us here, we are all teachers. And the biggest challenge that we always face is how to engage our student in a virtual classroom. And I'm very aware that for many of our students, they turn off their camera because they are not comfortable like turning on the camera and sitting in front of the computer for an hour or the whole day. So how do we engage them? So just a disclosure, for tonight, our training will focus more on creating a presentation which is visually engaging. So before we start, this training is framed within 2 theories. So are you familiar with split list level of engagement? Who is familiar with this one? Not familiar? Okay, so this one actually talks about the levels of engagement, and this one, the focus is the student. So how do we know that the student is engaged in our class? So here, you can see, I'll make it large. So here, you can see the highest level, we go to the green one, that's engagement. So we know that our students are engaged because they have high attention and then they have high commitment. And for us here in Toastmaster, which is an example of a community of practice, we have high attention and we have high commitment because we are invested in the value that we can learn something from this meeting, Toastmasters meeting. In the blue-colored part, this is called strategic compliance. So what are the characteristics of our students when they have this part of the level of engagement? So our students have high attention, but low commitment. So possibly they are there for the sake of compliance. just to pass the course, right? So we are not going to deal with the rest of the levels because for us tonight, it's more on practical aspect of engagement. So the last part, the last frame that our training tonight is based upon is translingualism. So if you're familiar with translingualism, this is by Kanagaraha in 2018. So what does translingualism mean? So translingualism is all about how the different visuals and modalities can affect engagement, like the way you present or design your PowerPoint. And tonight, we're going to have a look at a presentation software different from PowerPoint. And as you can see here, I can point to the text, and there's additional visual graphic to make it more pleasing to look at. Okay, so now let me ask you a few questions. Before we continue with the training, let me ask you 7 questions. Okay, so all you have to do is just turn on or turn off your camera as I ask the question. So if you answer yes, just turn on your video camera. If your answer is no, you may turn off your camera. And then if I ask the next question, then we can continue turning off and turning on the cameras. Okay, are we all ready? Ready? Okay, can I see a thumbs up? Okay, excellent. All right, so let me ask the first question. Do you teach in basic education? So in Thailand, that's kindergarten, Anuban until Matayum 6. So if you teach basic education, please turn on your camera. And if you do not teach basic education, please turn off your camera. Okay, excellent. So we have 2, we have 1. Okay, we have 1 teacher teaching in basic education. Excellent. Okay, so now let's move to the next question. Question 2. Do you teach in higher education? Do you teach in higher education? Okay, so we have 3 or 4. 4 of us teach in higher, or 3 of us teach in higher education. And now let's move to question 3. Do you work in corporate? Do you work in a corporation, company?
No.
Yes or no? Okay, so we have 1. No one from us tonight work in corporate or in the company. Let's move to question 4. Do you study in higher education? Do you study in higher education? Or do you study in university level, bachelor's, master's, or PhD?
Do you?
Oh, we have, okay. All right, so everybody. So now let's move to the next question. 5th question. On face-to-face class or meeting, do you have a trick to keep your learners or audience engaged? So in face-to-face meeting, do you have a trick that you use to keep the engagement level of your learners or audience? Excellent. Everybody has a trick in the back. Very good teachers. Okay, so now let's move to the second to the last question. During virtual team meetings, do you have a trick to keep your team members engaged? During virtual team meetings with your workmates, do you have a trick to keep your members or audience engaged? Okay, so we have 3. Excellent. All right, and the final question is question 7. This is all about metacognition. So when you say metacognition, It's a brain looking up above our brain. So the seventh question is, do you do self-reflection? Do you do self-reflection after a class or after any of your class? Do you reflect after any of your class?
Any, not every, right? Any.
Yes, any, right, Kap? Any. Excellent. So we are all a very self-reflective teacher, which is one key ingredient to be an effective teacher. Okay, so now let's continue with our training. So tonight, we are going to discover, or perhaps rediscover to some of you, 3 ways of making your hybrid and virtual meetings engaging. At the end of this talk, our main goal is that you can create a better online presentation that is both engaging for you and your learners or colleagues. When COVID happened, teachers continued doing what they were doing and just placed the camera in front of them or in front of us. This is the comment from Coursera CEO and President Emeritus of Yale University. And he said, better than doing nothing. So the talk tonight will focus on the practical tips that you can use to enhance your participants' viewing experience. So let me say that again. Let me reiterate, viewing experience during virtual meetings. As we know, virtual meetings is the other half of on-site meeting during hybrid meetings. As a disclaimer, no amount of visual stimulation can save a boring and unprepared content or unprepared lesson. I think we can all agree on the happy marriage of content, audience analysis, and presentation skills. So as we go back to our main goal, which is can create better online presentation visually, let me put forward 3 key angles we are viewing this from. So earlier, I said about the levels of engagement, and we have done that already. So now we move to number 1, camera and lighting. So as you can see here, the lighting, I have one light and another light on the side. So this is camera here in front of me and the lighting on my side. If you notice, I stay within an arm's reach. So what does it mean? It will create a flattering part of my appearance rather than putting my face right in front of the screen. So I move back at least 1 meter away. And this is what professionals are telling us. Because the virtual space is different than face-to-face. Sorry, TM Anand, you have a question?
Yeah, I just would like to ask that your slide haven't changed, right? This is
oh, sorry, I didn't see it. Sorry. Okay, here. Sorry, thank you for reminding. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Kap. Okay. All right. So yes, we are now on tip number 1, which is all about camera and lighting. So as I mentioned, we have to stay at least 1 meter apart and then put good lighting on the side. You know, one thing that I always remember, despite how many years, 20 years, I attended a filmmaking seminar. And you know what the speaker said? Never mess up with the lighting director, because lighting can either make you look good or make you look otherwise. So it's important to put a strategic lighting when you do online teaching or online meeting. Some people, they use the ring light in front of them. But for me, I prefer to have the light one side, another light on the other side, so that it will create a slimmer version of me. Okay, so we want to look pleasing in front of our students or audience. So here is the stronger light coming from here, and here is a little bit low light. So that's about lighting. Because if we put our lighting below our chin, it becomes a ghost movie, right? And then if we put it on top of our head, then we create eye bags. So we look like pandas. So lighting and camera is very important to keep our visuals very engaging to our viewers or audience. Okay, so now we move to the next tip. That's question number 2. So now for number 2, this is the entire production team, entire TV crew at your fingertips. I studied mass communication and I've learned how to edit, how to position the camera, how to position the lighting. And it's one messy production when you put up a show. But with technology, everything is just at the tip of our fingers. What am I saying? Here, you see Prezi. This application or software, we can actually download for a small fraction of an amount if we have an education email. And you know what I did? I was still at Litu when I bought this software. And because as a Litu student, I get an email that says like arvin.esk@dome.tu.ac.th. And that's what they're looking for as education subscriber. So what did I do? I asked the secretariat for my email. And once I got my email, I registered. And lucky enough, I don't need to pay anything. So this software is within my computer and I've been using it for a very long time. Since the start of the pandemic, this Prezi software, by the way, Prezi is not paying me for anything. All right, so Prezi, actually here, you can see, is a game changer. Because during the start of the pandemic, the school asked all teachers to create a video lesson. And what does it mean? For me, as my background in TV production, I shoot and edit a 30 to 40-minute video lesson, and it takes the whole entire day to finish everything. Because I'm very, very particular with how it will appear on screen, primarily because one, the parents are going to see the lesson. So if there's any mistake, what does it mean? They will complain. And everything is captured on the screen. So I was very, very careful to provide a lesson that's really, really worth it. And because of Prezi, all I have to do is just prepare the slide, click the recording button, and here we go. So here, I'm like the weatherman. If you remember the weatherman on TV station, they just point without really having a hard time because everything is flashed on screen in front of you. So yes, Prezi for me is a game changer, this technology. And as I mentioned, I got the idea from my students many years ago. So it's important to be a keen observant, because not all the time we learn from textbook. Not all the time we learn from research. We also learn from our students. And I'm very glad I was very observant and I pick up this technique or this software from my student. So this is the technology at your fingertip. So I was able to, as you know, from the very beginning, I was able to change different pictures, moving pictures. And it's very important if we teach language. For me, I speak very basic Thai. And one lesson that I taught on phonics, which is the long A sound, wave. So how do I explain wave? Good thing, because of Prezi, I can search a moving picture that shows wave. So I didn't have a hard time telling them what wave means. So it makes things really easy. It's a game changer for me. And I'm very happy to share this with you because we don't know when will the pandemic end. Nobody knows. So most likely it will be managed, but it will never end. We'll never know when will we go back to online learning and move back and forth to hybrid, on-site, and online learning. So yes, thanks to Prezi, it's a game changer for me. So now let's move to the third one. So the third one is all about what or how to do Prezi. Okay, I'll share with you. So I'm not sure if I can share the screen so I can teach you, I can show you step by step on how easy it is. So maybe we have a few minutes. I'm not sure about the time, TM Nan, if we have time left.
It's 15, 20 minutes, right? Now,
15, yes.
now one minute left.
Oh, 1 minute, okay. So maybe just very quick, okay, very quick. I'll show you how to do it. So I can share my screen and then
Just a
I'll
moment.
show you.
I will make you the co-host so you can share your screen, right?
Oh, yeah, all right.
Which one? Arvind or Avi?
The one me speaking. Sorry. It's Arvin.
Which one do you?
Arvin.
Okay, so I will make you the co-host. Okay. Okay. So actually you have like overall like what we can have like 30 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
But okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Can you share?
Share. Let me check. Sorry. Okay. Here. So I'll share my desktop. Okay. So here, can you see now? All right. So this is how it looks like from my end. So, and as you can see, all you have to do is just put like here, this is my screen. This is what I shared with you earlier. So this is my first slide. And then what do I want to do with my slide? So for example, I wanted to put here, I click content. So what do I want to do? I want to put like a cat photo or maybe, cat photo. So here, as I type cat, there you go. So many different kinds of moving pictures about cats. So here's a cute little picture of a cat. All right. Okay, playing with the fingers. So everything is at the tip of your fingers. And then how do I make the template? So you can choose here. You can choose if your favorite color is pink, you can move it to this one. And then there's so many options that you can choose from actually. So here is another option. And this is my favorite template so far, the one I shared with you because I like nature. So this is what I picked. All right, so as easy as that. So once you download it on your computer, all you have to do is just click, pick and choose. And what makes it better than PowerPoint? In PowerPoint, when you do your presentation, you become a small little square on the side of your presentation. And the text becomes the main attraction. But yes, as I saw your video in Flipgrid, visual is very important. We as a teacher, we are actually one walking visual aid. So how do we engage our student? At the same time, having a nice picture or nice moving picture on our side. So here, you can see my body movements. You can see my facial expressions. At the same time, you can see the information right beside me. So that's how you can make your presentation visually engaging. And then before we end, let me recap. So here, what if we think like a TV director? So when I started, I bought lights, not really lights, study lamp, and wrap it with a foil, but it didn't work. So what did I do? Lazada, Shopee, ta-dang. So here, for I think 300 baht, I was able to purchase one light. So make it two to have it both sides. So yes, camera angle, and as I said earlier, the distance from the camera. So at least 1 meter apart. And now for our main dish, I shared with you how easy it is to use Prezi as your software, as your program when you do presentation. Because Prezi has video format like here, and also has the presentation format, which I used actually before pandemic. All right, so demo is finished. And now, as I mentioned to you, I am going to share with you one secret that writers and philosophers shared. Can you guess what that is? One activity that writers and philosophers shared among themselves. We have Jane Austen, we have Hemingway, and so many other writers. You know what they have something in common with? That's walking. Walking. Because how does walking help us? It actually gives us more ideas. It gives us time to reflect. Because as I said, no matter you have very astonishing technology used, no matter you have so many visuals, but if we don't step back and reflect about how we conducted our lesson, how our students reacted to our lesson, then potentially it might be difficult to keep their engagement level next time. So if there's one important takeaway in tonight's presentation, it is this one. An early morning walk is a blessing for the whole day. So I invite everyone, if you have time, to have an early morning walk, because it's not only good for our ideas, but it's also good for our well-being. That said, thank you so much for having me, and you may now ask questions that you might have.